Trousers, 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 trousers. So you guessed it, today we're going to talk about trousers. Hi everyone, my name is Nuria and welcome to the second episode of making our own wardrobe. Last week we looked into defining our own style, who we were, what our colors were, what was our body shape, all these things. And today we're going to get into the first of the pieces, which are the trousers. As always, I have some disclaimers. Disclaimer number one, I'm going to be using my body shape as an example, and I'm a rectangle, but I created exactly the same drawings for all the body shapes, and I'm going to link down below all the articles on my website. And disclaimer number two, there's no right or wrong answers. I'm gonna share with you all the information I found online on how to dress every single body shape, but I also created some illustrations so you can choose what silhouette you like the most, because we don't always have to follow the rules. As someone said in the comments from the video last week, we just want to celebrate our beauty, so just choose whichever one you want. So let's get into it. Lesson number one, trouser history. Let me give you a little bit of a background story, and let me tell you also that I'm extremely terrified about talking about history because I'm a maths person and I have the feeling that I'm going to get it wrong. So I'm just going to link down below every single website I've used for this research so you can check them out and decide if you believe me or if you don't believe me. We're gonna go from the 30s to today because the 30s were when women used to wear trousers more often. And because my channel is about sewing, I'm going to go through history with sewing patterns because I think it's nicer. So let's start with the 30s. In the 30s, women did not wear trousers really often, and if they were wearing them, it was mostly for sports or for beach wear, and they were wide legs, really high-waisted, and the crotch was really, really low. The idea was to give the illusion of a bifurcated skirt instead of trousers. And the prints and the colors for these trousers were really bright and fun. Then we move into the 40s. During the 40s, we had World War II, so things went a little bit more conservative. And we can see that the trousers were a little bit more used because they were more comfortable to do day-to-day jobs. We see the legs getting narrower, and we also see the first pair of jeans worn by women. In the 50s, we get all those trousers from the 40s and we make them even slimmer, and we start bringing the crotch a little bit higher, and we go away from these conservative prints and colors and we go back into fun. Trousers start being a little bit shorter and we start seeing capri pants, pedal pushers, cigarette pants, and these were becoming popular because they were more comfortable for riding bikes, because then the leg of the pants wouldn't get caught in the chain of the bike. I'll explain later in the video what these capri, cigarette, pedal pusher, all these names that I'm saying now, I'm going to explain them later. And finally in the 50s, we also see rolled cuffs on the jeans. From the 50s, we move into the 60s. The first half of the 60s was very similar to the 50s. And at the end of the 60s, we start seeing these hippie looks, and we go to the bell bottoms and the boot cut trousers with wide legs. And then from the late 60s, we enter the 70s, and the 70s was a little bit of a mess because there was a lot going on. We had disco, we had glam rock, we had punk, we had the hippie movement. The hippie movement, I already told you, it was these bell-bottom leg lines. We had punk that introduced the distressed jeans that we have nowadays. With the disco, we had all these shiny colors and tighter trousers to the body. From here on, it gets a little bit confusing because we have all these trousers we've been talking about and we're just adding to those trousers. So we just have so many. But if we look at the 80s, is when Fame, the movie, got released, and we see a lot of leggings, tight trousers, elastic fabrics, bright neon colors. We have these leggings with stirrups, we have harem pants, we have metallic joggers and parachute pants that I hadn't heard about them before looking into this video. Then we move into the 90s. The 90s is when I was born, and I have no recollection of what people were wearing back in the day. So I would say there was a bit of everything, but the most popular ones were the mommy jeans. That is just a tapered version of the jeans with rolled cuffs. That I'm not sure about, but I think so. And finally, we enter the 2000s, and I'm not gonna go into depth with every year. I'm just gonna say the 2000s. And I do have a little bit more knowledge of what we used to wear in the 2000s because that's when I was dressing myself. And the only thing I remember is that I absolutely hated it. This is when cargo pants were popular. Those are fine. But then we have the low-rise jeans, which, no, I'm never going back there. And now that we know a little bit more trouser history, let's get into the next lesson. Lesson number 2, the trouser anatomy. I think it's very important to understand what parts the trousers have and how we can modify them to create the perfect design that we're looking for. I divided the trousers in 6 parts and we're gonna go through them. Let's start with the foundation. If you've been following me for a while, you know that there's 4 trouser foundation. You have the culottes, the trousers, the slacks, and the jeans. And this is defined by the amount of ease that you have around your crotch and around your upper thigh. So for me, the foundation is only going to have an effect on your comfort, and it's not going to be defined by your body shape or anything like that. So I'm not gonna go too much into depth. There's one other foundation that I have never talked about in here, and it's the elastic foundation. And it's just for activewear and sportswear. If you want more information about the foundations, I have a whole other video talking about that, so I'll link it down below. The next part of the trousers is the waistband. The waistband is the part of the trousers that is going to signal our eyes to look into the waist. It's gonna say, here is my waist. So this will have an effect on your body shape and also your body proportions. We have 3 types of waistlines. We have the high-waisted pants that it's below our bust. We have the mid-rise that it's on our natural waistline, and we have the low-rise that it's low. Back in the day, they used to call the high-waisted pants the ones that were sitting on the natural waistline. So just so you know, this is what it means. So how is the waistband going to change our body shape? If we look at this picture, we can see that we have the rectangular body shape with high-waisted, mid-rise, and low waist. If we look at what the theory says, I should be wearing mid to low-rise pants because I don't have much of a waist and I want to emphasize where I have it. But when I look at this picture, I see that the ones I like the most are the mid-rise ones, so the ones that sit in the natural waist. Then I like the high-waisted, and finally I like the low-rise. So I guess, to be honest, I'm never going to wear low-rise pants again, so you won't be able to convince me. Another thing that the waistband can do is change your body proportions. For me, for example, I told you in the last video that I have a short torso, so that means that if I choose high-waisted trousers, this is going to shorten my torso even more. It's going to elongate my legs and shorten my torso. And this is not something I want to do. Even though, if you want to do that, we're going to be able to balance it out later on with the length of the trousers. As always, it's all about balance. I'm just telling you that if you have short legs, for example, and you want to elongate them, then high-waisted pants would work for you. I have also done some research about how narrow the waistband should be, and I didn't see that much of a difference, so I'm not going to go into it in this video. I think it has more to do with how you balance the top and the bottom and how big you want the waistband in relation with the top. So for now, we're gonna forget about it. The next part of the trousers we're going to look into is the length. We have some general lengths that have a name, like I told you before, the capri, the pedal pushers, the Jamaicas, the Bermudas. These are lengths that are established. But of course you can make any length you want. And here you have a picture of all the lengths that are known. You have the capri, you have the toreador, you have the pedal pusher, you have the Bermuda, the Jamaicas, and finally the shorts. As I told you before, the length of the trousers is going to help elongate or shorten your torso. So for example, if I choose to have a high-waisted pair of trousers, then I would wear a capri length or even shorter to balance out the short torso with the short legs. So then I kind of would be more balanced. Or the main reason to have the length of the trousers is seasonal. So for summer, for example, I'm going to be wearing shorts. The next thing we're going to look into are the leg lines. We have 6 main leg lines. We have the slim, the tapered, the straight, the boot cut, the bell bottoms, and the wide legs. The purpose of the leg lines is to add volume or reduce volume in certain areas. The slim version, for example, is going to follow the silhouette of your body. The tapered version will be wide at the hips and tight at the ankles. The straight will fall down from your hips or knees down. Then the boot cut will flare from below your knee. The bell bottoms will flare from above or at your knee, and the wide legs will flare from your waist. If we look at the theory for my body shape, the rectangle, I am told that I should be wearing trousers that flare a little bit on the bottom because that's going to add volume into my lower part of the body and somehow it's going to give the illusion that my waist is thinner than it is. So that would be the boot cap or the bell bottoms or even the wide legs. It also says that I should stay away from straight leg lines because that's going to give me a very boxy look. And also says that too much flare might look unbalanced, but as always, this depends on what I'm wearing on top. So if on top I'm wearing a big puffy sleeve, then at the bottom I can wear the biggest flare of my life. And if I look at this picture, I see that I like exactly the opposite. So my order of preference would be first the bell bottoms, then the straight, then slim, then tapered, then the wide legs, and finally the boot cut. And this tells me that the theory means nothing. You just look at the picture and see, what do I like? And that's what you choose. Just because it says that I cannot wear straight pants means that I'm not going to wear straight pants. You know what I mean? The next part of the trousers is not actually a part, but it's an addition that we can put into our trousers, and it's the details. The details are meant to draw our attention to certain parts and indirectly add volume. We have pockets, we have pleats, we have distress, or we have turn-ups, and these are only a small amount of things we can add to our trousers. So as I told you, as a rectangle, I want to remove attention from the waist and draw it to the areas where I want to add volume, right? So that's why any details are going to work for my body type. Take a look for yourself. When you look at these drawings, where do your eyes go? Does it go to the wide leg without the pockets, or with the pockets, or without the pleats, or with the pleats, or without turn-ups, or with turn-ups, or without distress, or with distress? Does it change the perception of your shape? In my opinion, it does. There's things that I'm not going to wear, like the distress, because then my mom and my grandma would go crazy telling me, oh, do you live on the streets? You know, the typical thing that our grandmas tell us. But yeah, for my body shape, these things work and I like them. So we have a match. And we have finally the last part of the trousers, that it's also another add-on, and it's fabric and colors. These two things will have an effect on your body type. For example, the fabric can soften or stiffen your shape depending on if you're using flowy fabrics or very sturdy denim, and the colors will draw more or less attention depending on if you're using black colors or light colors. If you look at this picture again, where do your eyes go first? Like, which one do you prefer? For me, they go first to the white trousers, then the print ones, and finally the black. And they always say that the black makes you slimmer, and in this picture you can see that illusion. I think in this case, fabrics and colors are used to add to your design to balance out the shapes that you're choosing. So if you're choosing, for example, a really wide bell bottoms and you are suddenly very bottom heavy and you want to wear something slim at the top, then I would go for a darker pair of trousers, so then it hides a little bit that volume. Or on the other hand, if you want to go for a straight look and you're a rectangle like me and you're not supposed to wear straight trousers, then if you choose a flowy fabric, then you might be able to wear straight trousers. For the color also, I realize I haven't said a lot about our color palette situation, but the truth is that the color palette is more important on the top of the body instead of the bottom of the body, because that's the one that's going to be closer to our face. But of course, if you follow your own color palette, is going to be better, because then the colors in your wardrobe are going to match each other. So if I had to choose light colors, I would go for my light neutrals of my color palette, and if I would go for dark colors, I would go for my dark neutrals from my color palette. Now we've looked into how every single part of the trousers can change our shape or our proportions, or where our eyes go when we look at pants. And now it's time to look into what trousers do we want for us. Lesson number 3, the trouser matrix. Now that we know all these things, I've created this matrix. With the horizontal line, I have all the different leg lines, and on the vertical line, I have the different foundations. This is a matrix of all the trousers out there, and I've only shown here the ones that actually have a name. But of course, you can work any combination you want. So if you want a culotte with a bell bottom, I think it's going to be a little bit weird, but if you like it and you go for it. It's just that this combination doesn't have a name currently. So we have all these trousers, and on top of that, we can also have some random trousers like the jodhpur. I don't know if that's the correct way of saying it, and the barrel. And these, I call it random because they have a shape that I couldn't add into the matrix, but they actually exist. Then we have the different lengths, like I told you, like the capri, the toreador, the pedal pushers, all the things that I mentioned that you can add into this design to make them longer or shorter. Then you also have the details that I told you about, like the pockets, the pleats, all these things. And finally, we have some full body options like jumpsuits or overalls. So now that you have the matrix, it's time for you to decide which ones do you like and which ones you don't like. So you can just cross the ones that you say, there's no way I'm ever going to make these ones. Never. You know, like for me, the low-waisted pants, cross. And we decide which ones we want. For my board, I've divided it in 5 different sections. We have the basics that we like all year long, and then we have the 4 seasonal ones. So the summer, the winter, the spring, and autumn. Let's look into the basics first. These are all the trousers that I plan on making for myself, but I'm also aware that maybe you like other styles. So just comment below if you want to see specific designs, because I'm going to be sharing with you the instructions for these pants. So if you want them, ask for them, okay? But the ones that I'm going to be making for sure are, I want slim jeans that I'm not supposed to have, but it's a basic. And I want them in a light color, because then I'm going to balance out that I'm not adding volume, but I'm adding the eyes going into it because they're light. Then I want tapered jeans in a dark color. I've actually already made them and I love them, and I want another pair, but let's not. Then I want some lounge white pants, like my pajama pants, but in a very light denim fabric, because I want to be able to wear them outside, because my pajamas are gingham fabric and they're a bit much. And then we have 2 pairs of pleated trousers, one in a light color that are going to be tapered, and another one in a wide leg that are going to be dark. And this again is the tapered version. I want to add volume with the pleats and with the collar, and for the wide leg I don't need to add anything else, so I'm going to make them in a dark color. Then let's look into the different seasons. Let's start with autumn. For autumn, I would love some corduroy bell bottoms in a dark color, because the corduroy is already a lot and the bell bottoms are already a lot also. And I'm looking for a bit of a statement piece for autumn, and I want them in a burgundy kind of color. And then I want some capri or slacks that are a little bit shorter, but slim version, and I'm going to make them in a printed, in a square pattern fabric. Then we're going to move into winter. For winter, I really want to go into the elastic patterns that I'm a little bit scared about, but we have to get over it. And I'm going to be making 2, both in dark. 1 pair with flare at the bottom, probably above my knees, and another one that is legging type to go to the office. Very neutral, dark, because in winter we all feel down and dark, so we just go with the flow. Then spring is what's coming now, so I'm really excited about those ones. And we're gonna go statement piece full on. I either want to make a straight jean or a bell bottom in a pink color with denim fabric of pink color. Really excited about that. And then I want to make another pair of lounge trousers, like the ginghams, my pajamas, but with a nice and fun print and full of colors and pink, yellow. If I can put it in there, I will also put yellow. And finally, for summer, it's not as fun because we know that it's shorts. I want to make a pair of pleated shorts, which I actually made last year, and I love them, and they are in a light fabric. And then I want to make 2 pair of shorts in different lengths, because I prefer shorts that are longer, but it's good to have a pair of shorts that are shorter. And both in denim fabric, and I'm gonna be playing around with dark and light colors. So these are my boards. I'm really excited to start sewing because I feel like I've been talking for way too long. So if you want to follow this journey and you want to be ready when I release the instructions for the pants, I would advise you to start with the trouser foundation. Remember that there's 4 trouser foundation and I have patterns for all of them. Start with the trousers because I'm going to start making the pleated and the lounge pants, and they both need the trouser foundation. And after that, I'm going to be moving into the jeans. I don't think I'm going to touch the culottes or the slacks until autumn. And if you want to figure out how to draft them by yourself, I have a bunch of videos out there and resources and information on my website and on my other YouTube channel. So if you want to get started and not wait for me, I already have all those things out there. So go ahead, make your pants. You can do it. Really, you can do it. But for now, this is everything for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you want to make them, which trousers you want to make, which ones are you the most excited about, and that's it. I'll see you on the next one, and follow me on Instagram as always. My handle is _Nuriamo, and I'll see you next week. Bye.